starts in a bed, you're already behind. That belief is the reason men never see it coming. By the time a woman sleeps with another man, she didn't just cross a line, she crossed an ocean, quietly, weeks or months earlier, while you were still standing there looking for proof. The real betrayal doesn't arrive with messages, hotel rooms, or confessions. It arrives when her imagination stops visiting you, when her mind no longer reaches for you in moments of boredom, stress, excitement, or desire, when another presence, real or imagined, becomes the place her nervous system escapes to. And the reason you never catch it is simple. There are no fingerprints, no obvious lies, no smoking gun. She still shows up. She still laughs. She still says the right words at the right time. But something fundamental has already shifted, and you can feel it without being able to name it. The warmth is thinner. The curiosity is gone. The tension that once pulled her toward you has drained out, replaced by something flat and polite. You tell yourself you're overthinking. You look for evidence that justifies your unease. But this kind of betrayal doesn't announce itself. It hides in plain sight, protected by innocence, deniability, and the comforting lie that cheating only counts once bodies touch. That's why most men lose before anything happens. Not because they're weak, not because they're blind, but because they're trained to look for the wrong crime, in the wrong place, at the wrong time, long after the damage is already done. Cheating isn't physical. That's the first lie you were taught, and it's the one that keeps you calm while everything important slips away. Sex is not the beginning of betrayal, it's the receipt. The real act happens earlier, in silence, when her imagination is quietly reassigned. Cheating begins the moment her mind stops visiting you and starts visiting someone else. Not because she planned it, not because she's evil, but because attention always flows toward what feels alive. When her emotional priority shifts, when her sexual tension no longer orients around you, the outcome is already decided, even if nothing visible has happened yet. This is why so many men feel something is wrong long before they can explain it. The room feels different. Her reactions feel delayed. The spark doesn't ignite the way it used to, and instead of trusting that signal, you look for proof texts, secrets, evidence things that don't need to exist for this kind of betrayal to be real. Understand this clearly. No messages are required. No sex is required. No secrecy is required. Mental displacement is enough. A woman can be completely transparent and still be gone. She can tell you exactly where she's been, who she talked to, what she did, and still be emotionally unavailable to you because the shift didn't happen in her schedule. It happened in her nervous system. This is where men make the fatal mistake. They escalate. They interrogate. They push for reassurance, or they collapse. They overgive, over-explain, apologize for things they didn't do, trying to pull her back with effort. Both reactions confirm the same thing, that you feel the loss before you understand it. And the moment you chase clarity, you surrender leverage. Listen to the phrases that sound harmless but signal everything. He's just easy to talk to. I don't know. I just feel different lately. Nothing's wrong. I just need space. These aren't explanations, they're symptoms. They tell you her inner world has shifted away from you, even if she hasn't crossed a visible line. The playbook here is not confrontation. You don't ask, "Do you like him?" You don't demand reassurance. You don't perform emotional CPR on something that hasn't been declared dead. You reclaim frame, not attention. You reduce emotional leakage. You ground yourself. You observe where her curiosity flows, where her energy lights up, who she becomes animated around. No drama, no reaction, just data. Because women don't leave men who remain felt. They drift from men who panic when they're no longer the center of imagination. And once you see that clearly, you stop fighting shadows and start responding from a position that actually matters. The invisible affair doesn't announce itself. It unfolds in 3 silent shifts, each one easy to miss if you're looking for drama instead of patterns. The first shift is when imagination detaches. On the surface, nothing looks broken. She still laughs at your jokes. She still shows up to dinner. She still says I love you with the same words, the same timing, the same routines. But the difference is subtle and lethal. You are no longer the man she escapes into. When her day collapses, when boredom creeps in, when she needs stimulation or emotional oxygen, her mind no longer reaches for you by default. You're present, but you're not where her imagination goes to feel alive. This is where most men relax, because everything appears normal, and that's exactly why this stage works. The second shift is where the damage compounds. Emotional contrast forms, not between men, but between states. She isn't lining you up against another guy and weighing pros and cons. She's comparing how she feels around you versus how she feels elsewhere. Around you, things are predictable, familiar, grounded. Elsewhere, sometimes with another man, sometimes with an idea, a memory, or even a fantasy, she feels light, energized, stimulated. You become stability. Something else becomes stimulation. This is where men lose, because stability feels like a compliment until it becomes a cage. When you sense this shift, the instinct is to escalate more questions, more effort, more emotional pressure, or to collapse by becoming overly accommodating, hoping comfort will turn back into desert. Both reactions accelerate the contrast you're trying to stop. The third shift seals it. Justification begins before any action ever happens. Her mind starts rewriting reality in a way that sounds reasonable, even compassionate. He doesn't get me like he used to. I feel unseen. I just need to feel alive again. None of this sounds like cheating. That's the genius of it. These are not confessions. They're permissions she gives herself. And if you challenge them directly, you play the wrong role. The playbook here is restraint. You don't argue with her narrative. You don't beg to be understood. You don't interrogate feelings you didn't create. You slow down. You pull emotional output back into yourself. You watch behavior instead of debating words. You track where her energy goes, not what she claims to feel. Because once justification starts, the outcome depends less on what she says and more on whether you remain a man she can still feel or just a presence she's already outgrown. This is the part most people avoid, because once you hear the words for what they really are, you can't unhear them. The invisible affair hides behind phrases that sound harmless, reasonable, even reassuring. Take the innocent one first. He's just easy to talk to. On the surface, it sounds like nothing. Friendly, casual. But what it actually means is that her nervous system relaxes around him in a way it no longer does around you. Conversation isn't the point. Regulation is. With him, she feels light, unguarded, mentally stimulated. With you, she feels weighed down by history, expectations, and familiarity. When men hear this, they escalate. They ask who he is. They want to know how often they talk. They push for details. That reaction misses the point. The shift already happened. The playbook here is not confrontation. It's recognition. You don't compete for conversation. You take note of where her energy softens, and you stop trying to force yourself back into that space. Then comes the defensive line, usually delivered with irritation instead of guilt. Why are you making this a big deal? Nothing is happening. Men hear this and argue facts. They list what they haven't accused her of. They try to sound reasonable. But the truth is simple. Something already happened, just not in a way you were trained to recognize. Her emotional center has already moved. Defensiveness is not proof of innocence. It's a boundary being protected. This is where collapse is tempting, backing off completely. Apologizing for having instincts. Telling yourself you imagined it. That's just as damaging. The correct response is restraint. You don't plead your case. You don't push harder. You pull your emotional weight back into yourself and observe what happens when you stop chasing reassurance. The most dangerous phrase of all is the moral shield. I would never cheat. I'm not that kind of woman. This sentence isn't meant to convince you. It's meant to convince her. Notice how cheating is defined narrowly, physically, conveniently. As long as no bodies touch, she remains good. But mentally, the line has already been crossed. When men hear this, they relax. They feel foolish for doubting her character. That's how the illusion holds. The playbook isn't to argue definitions. It's to stop outsourcing your reality to her words. You watch behavior. You track consistency. You notice whether respect, tension, and curiosity are still alive. Because once these phrases enter the relationship, the question is no longer whether she's cheating. It's whether you're responding like a man who still understands where power actually lives. Men never see it because they're trained to look for the wrong evidence. You're taught that betrayal leaves a trail: messages, deleted chats, late nights, confessions that finally crack under pressure. So when something feels off, your mind starts building a case. You scan phones. You listen for inconsistencies. You wait for a mistake big enough to justify your unease. And when you don't find it, you assume the danger isn't real. But that's not how this works. You're looking for a crime scene. She changed countries. What you're trying to catch with logic already moved through emotion, imagination, and nervous system response territory that doesn't leave proof behind. Women don't transition the way men do. Men act first and rationalize later. Women feel it first, then justify, then act if they ever need to. By the time behavior changes enough to be obvious, the internal shift has already settled. That's why the words sound so confusing. I don't know. I just feel different. Nothing's wrong. I'm just tired. You're overthinking this. These statements aren't lies in the way you understand lies. They're honest descriptions of a nervous system that has already reoriented. And when you hear them, your instinct is to escalate, to push for clarity, to demand explanations that satisfy logic. Or you collapse, telling yourself to be patient, to be understanding, to not rock the boat. Both responses miss the blind spot. The blind spot is assuming that truth lives in what she says. It doesn't. Truth lives in where her attention goes when no one is asking questions. It lives in what excites her, what drains her, what she leans toward when she doesn't have to justify herself. Men miss this because it's uncomfortable to accept. It means you can't negotiate desire. You can't argue your way back into someone's imagination. You can't demand nervous system attraction with good intentions. So instead, men keep hunting for evidence that will finally make everything make sense. They want a moment where she admits something undeniable, because that feels cleaner than accepting a quiet loss of position. The playbook here isn't suspicion, it's calibration. You stop interrogating words and start observing patterns. You notice whether respect is present without being requested. You watch whether curiosity flows toward you naturally or has to be pulled back with effort. You don't escalate by accusing. You don't collapse by overgiving. You stay still long enough to see what moves without your interference. Because once you understand that betrayal doesn't require secrecy or sex, only a shift of emotional gravity, you stop chasing proof and start seeing reality as it actually operates. And that's when you finally understand why most men never see it until it's already over. This is where most men seal their own loss without realizing it. Once they sense the shift, but can't prove it, they fall into one of two traps: escalation or collapse. Both feel justified, both feel emotional, and both destroy whatever leverage still exists. The escalation trap is the obvious one. Questioning starts to creep in. Why are you texting so much? Who was that? Why do you seem distant lately? Then come accusations disguised as concern, monitoring disguised as curiosity, emotional pressure disguised as honesty. You tell yourself you're just trying to understand, but what she feels is fear, tension, and insecurity bleeding through your words. Attraction doesn't survive interrogation. The moment you push for clarity, you signal that you no longer trust your own position. And insecurity, once confirmed, drains desire faster than silence ever could. When escalation fails to bring relief, many men swing hard in the opposite direction and collapse. This trap is quieter, but just as lethal. You start overgiving. You become softer, more accommodating, more apologetic. You say things like, "Maybe I haven't been there enough," or "I'm sorry if I made you feel that way," even when nothing concrete happened. You try to win her back by being easier, safer, less confrontational. But what you're really doing is rewarding emotional withdrawal. You teach her that distance earns her more effort from you, that she can pull away and you'll lean in harder. This doesn't restore attraction. It confirms that she no longer has to feel you to keep you. Here's the part most men don't want to hear. Both escalation and collapse come from the same place: fear of losing control. Escalation tries to regain control by force. Collapse tries to regain it through approval. Neither works because desire doesn't respond to pressure or pleading. Desire responds to grounded presence. The key line here is simple and brutal. The moment you chase clarity, you lose leverage. Clarity feels like safety, but in this dynamic, it's a trap. You don't need more answers. You need to stop reacting. The playbook at this stage is restraint with awareness. You don't interrogate. You don't apologize for instincts. You don't dramatically withdraw either. You hold your frame. You speak less, not more. You stop trying to manage her emotional state and return your focus inward. You observe whether respect returns when pressure is removed, or whether distance deepens when effort stops. That outcome tells you more than any confession ever could. Because the man who doesn't escalate or collapse forces reality to reveal itself without distortion. And that's the only position from which you can respond with actual power. instead of fear dressed up as action. This is not advice, because advice invites debate. This is a response pattern, quiet, disciplined, and almost invisible to anyone who doesn't understand what's actually happening. The first rule is absolute. Do not confront the imagination. You never ask. Do you like him? You never ask. Are you talking to someone the moment those words leave your mouth? You've already admitted defeat. You've told her you feel displaced, and displacement is not attractive. Questions like that don't pull truth closer. They push respect further away. An aware man understands that imagination cannot be argued with. It can only be replaced or left to reveal its own direction. The second move is to reclaim frame, not attention. Most men confuse the two. Attention is cheap. Frame is gravity. You reduce explanations. You stop narrating your emotions. You stop trying to be understood. Your emotional output lowers, not because you're cold, but because you're centered. You don't disappear. You don't punish. You simply normalize your presence as something that doesn't need to beg for relevance. When she says, "You've been quiet lately," you don't rush to reassure her. You respond calmly, briefly, without urgency. This is not withdrawal. It's stability without performance. Then comes observation, not suspicion observation. You watch where her energy goes when nothing is demanded of her. Who gets her curiosity? Where do her eyes soften? Who does she become animated around without effort? You don't react. You don't comment. You collect data. Most men contaminate reality by reacting too early. An aware man lets patterns complete themselves, because patterns don't lie, but reactions distort them. The final shift is internal unpredictability. Not games, not hot and cold behavior. You stop orienting your inner world around her emotional temperature. Her moods no longer dictate your posture, your pace, your sense of self. You move according to your own rhythm again. That alone changes the dynamic more than any conversation ever could. This is where the key truth lands. Women don't betray men they respect. They drift from men who become emotionally available, but internally invisible. When you stop chasing clarity, stop escalating, and stop collapsing, you force the dynamic into honesty. Either respect reappears or that the truth finishes revealing itself. And either outcome puts you back where power actually lives. Most men don't lose their woman to another man. That's the story they tell themselves, because it's easier to digest. It gives the pain a villain, a face, a name, but the truth is quieter and far more uncomfortable. They lose her to a version of themselves that stopped being felt, not because they were cruel, not because they were weak, but because, over time, they became predictable, emotionally loud, or internally absent. They reacted instead of anchored. They chased clarity instead of holding position. And slowly, without a single dramatic moment, the gravity shifted. What separates the men who break from the men who survive is not toughness or indifference. It's restraint. The ones who survive that don't panic when they sense distance. They don't chase explanations. They don't demand truth in moments where truth can't be spoken without distortion. When something feels off, they don't flood the space with questions like, "What's wrong?" or "Are we okay?" They understand that those words come from fear, not strength. Instead, they slow down. They get quieter, not cold, not withdrawn clear. They let reality breathe long enough to show its direction. You've seen this play out in small moments. The man who says, "I don't know. I've just been focused on my own things lately," without defensiveness. The man who doesn't overreact when her energy fluctuates, who doesn't try to pull her back with reassurance or guilt. The man who doesn't punish distance, but also doesn't reward it. That presence alone forces a choice. Either respect returns, or the truth completes itself without a single confrontation. Both outcomes are clean. Both preserve dignity. Clarity is power because it removes urgency. When you see clearly, you stop arguing with shadows. You stop managing emotions that aren't yours to manage. You stop confusing effort with value. You don't escalate into interrogation, and you don't collapse into overgiving. You stand where you are, grounded, observant, unreactive. From that position, you don't need answers immediately. You let behavior answer for you. If this made you uncomfortable, good. Awareness always does. It strips away comforting myths and replaces them with responsibility. Not responsibility for her choices, but for how you carry yourself when the ground shifts. This isn't about controlling outcomes. It's about refusing to lose yourself, chasing clarity that was never meant to be negotiated. When you can do that, you don't just survive the invisible affair. You step out of it with your power intact. This channel isn't for men who want reassurance. It's for men who want sight. If you're here looking for comfort, explanations that make everything feel okay, or narratives that protect your ego, this isn't that place. What we do here is strip illusions, not polish them. We talk about what actually happens beneath words, beneath appearances, beneath what you're told you're supposed to believe. And that kind of clarity isn't popular, but it's powerful. If this video hit something you couldn't quite explain before, subscribe. Not for motivation, not for hype, but to sharpen your perception. Leave a comment with your own experience, not to vent, but to mark the moment you started seeing patterns instead of stories. And if you know a man who's stuck questioning himself, chasing clarity, or slowly disappearing inside his own relationship, share this with him. Some people don't need advice, they need sight.